Hi, welcome back guys. This is your sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Naruto Was Son of Aphrodite? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Naruto Uchiha appearance, height, 6 feet 2 inches God mode height, 12 feet 6 inches God mode. Imagine a powerful being with 10 tails and striking hair reminiscent of legendary warriors. Abilities. Left eye, the mystic eye of death Thanatos. This ability allows him to cause death to anyone or anything without exception, including beings considered nearly immortal. Death is unavoidable and permanent, and anything killed cannot be resurrected by normal means. He can manipulate the concept of death itself across all forms of existence. Right eye, the immunity of God. This power negates any concepts, powers, or laws, rendering him immune to all forms of attack, with the exception of true omnipotence. Rinnegan ability, Deus Ex Machina. This ability allows him to create and manipulate miraculous outcomes, overcoming hopeless situations effortlessly. It can be seen as a narrative device that resolves conflicts, regardless of their severity. Rinne Sharingan abilities, Onirapotence, grants him supreme power in dreams and enhances his abilities in the real world. Dimensional control enables him to manipulate dimensions, facilitating teleportation and the creation of pocket dimensions. Species, demigod parents, mother, Aphrodite father, Minato Namake's aliases, the Messiah, the savior of the world, the anti-god, the god-killer, heir to Uranus, the beast, the strongest demigod, the answer of monsters, the god of shinobi, the new Madara, the final Uchiha, and many more. Personality, arrogant, cold, apathetic, cynical, tactical, competitive, and protective, with rare moments of happiness. Likes, women, power, fighting his friends, food, and his summoning animals. Dislikes, Percy, Zeus, Ares, discrimination, and various figures and factions he sees as weak or cowardly. Powers/abilities. Transcendent demigod physiology, Sharingan and Rinnegan abilities, elemental manipulation fire, electricity, etc., superhuman strength, speed and durability, control over animals and weather, mastery of various weapons, including Excalibur and the true Longinus, ability to cause natural disasters and manipulate reality weapons, Excalibur Morgan, Samahata, Kusanagi, true Longinus, Chrono Scythe, and others acquired throughout his journey. Chapter and the story continues with the involvement of various deities and allies as they navigate challenges and confront powerful adversaries. Irene, the leader of the Phoenix, Tiamat, the leader of the dragons, Inari, the leader of the foxes, and Seraphal, the leader of the Leviathans, stood together on a vast battlefield. Before them loomed a colossal beast with 10 tails and a single eye, atop which stood a man with long spiky black hair, a smirk on his face. This was Madara Uchiha, and the beast was the 10 tails. Below them, a blond man, Naruto Uchiha, stood at 6 feet 2 inches, wearing a bleach captain uniform adorned with the Uchiha symbol. In one hand he held a sword wrapped in bandages, and in the other, a holy-feeling spear. Hidden within his uniform were a snake and a slug, remnants of his past. Naruto was the last soldier of the Shinobi Alliance, the others either dead or injured. Sasuke and Obito had perished in battle, but before his death, Sasuke entrusted Naruto with his sword and eyes, ensuring the Uchiha legacy would live on within him. His other weapons were sealed away, the remnants of Orochimaru's soul transformed into a seal that contained his favorite tools. Now, it was up to him to defeat Madara and end the war. This war shall end. No more comrades or friends of mine will die today. Today you die, and this time you'll stay dead, Naruto declared, pointing Samahata at Madara. Very well then. Prepare to die as an equal, Naruto. Madara replied with a confident grin, commanding the 10 tails to charge at Naruto, who also rushed forward. As he leaped into the air, the beast looked up and lashed out with its tails. In midair, Naruto hurled the spear, Longinus, at Madara, piercing him in the chest. What is this going to do to me? I'm not even flesh. How foolish are you, boy? Madara scoffed. Try and touch the spear, Naruto challenged, performing hand signs. Madara, curious, reached for the spear and was met with an unexpected surge of pain. Confused, he questioned how a mere spear could hurt him, even in his current form. This spear isn't just any weapon, Madara. It's capable of killing gods. It can eliminate you even in death, Naruto explained, completing the hand signs and invoking a technique familiar to the third Hokage. Shiki Fujin. The Shinigami appeared behind Naruto, its expression hungry. Let me absorb the 10 tails, Madara, and all the chakra. In return, I will die and you will claim my soul. Naruto proposed, and the Shinigami, calling upon other gods for assistance, complied. The chakra of everyone on the planet was drawn in, affecting even Ishiki Otsutsuki, who perished as a result. Madara and the 10 tails were absorbed into Naruto, transforming him. He sprouted 10 tails that broke through his uniform, horns emerged from his head, and a Rinne Sharingan opened in his forehead. He secured Samahata on his back and summoned Longinus back to him. The Shinigami then pulled through Naruto's soul, unexpectedly withdrawing its hand. You have done well, young one. You have brought everlasting peace to these lands, but your work is far from done. It seems your mother's dimension needs your help now. Goodbye, Uchiha Naruto, it said before vanishing through a dimensional rift. Naruto opened his eyes, blinking as he found himself in a classroom, listening to a man discuss gods he didn't recognize. He glanced around, frowning at the sight of 12-year-olds surrounding him. This was not a good sign. He raised his hand. May I use the restroom? He asked. Of course, Mr. Uchiha, the teacher replied. After exiting his chair, Naruto walked to the bathroom. Inside, he scowled at his reflection, seeing his 12-year-old self staring back. There were differences. He was now a battle-hardened warrior, shaped by death and war. Suddenly, he heard familiar laughter from his clothes. Without thinking, he reached in and pulled out a slug and a snake. You two better stop laughing, or I'll have to discipline you both, he warned, causing them to blush and quiet down. All right, calm down and save that for later, Foxy, Anko said with a wink, still in snake form. Shut up and get serious, Anko. We're in a new, unfamiliar world with different customs and beliefs, Tsunade admonished, a vein appearing on her head as she playfully swatted Anko with her tail. Anyway, why do I feel more powerful than I did as an adult? Naruto pondered, placing a seal on the bathroom door. Remember, you absorbed the 10 tails and everyone else's chakra. At this point, you should be some kind of god, Tsunade explained, crawling onto his shoulder. Yeah, Foxy, I think Tsunade and I are even stronger than before. I feel like I could take on all those 10 tails clones without breaking a sweat, Anko added, slithering up to join Tsunade on his shoulder. With a sigh, Naruto stepped out of the bathroom, noticing the blushes he elicited from the girls as he walked by. He decided to ignore this in favor of getting back to class. A few months later, it had been some time since Naruto woke up in this new world, and he both hated and loved it. He loved the way he could influence people and how he became wealthy by selling Jiraiya's books, much to Tsunade's displeasure. The girls who regained their human forms posed as his guardians since he was only 12 years old while they were adults. They would tease and take care of him like Mikoto once did years ago, and he felt happy, relishing the chance to be a kid again. However, he also disliked this world. As a sage, he felt the anger of nature. So, he used his powers to start healing it. Unbeknownst to him, when he did that, Gaia awakened, feeling rejuvenated. She noticed who was responsible and gave him her blessing, beginning to watch him as he used his powers. Right now, he was in another boring class when he sensed an illusion trying to mess with his mind. He pushed a small amount of chakra and saw that his new teacher, who looked like a shriveled old woman with leathery skin and glowing eyes, was the source. What's that? He thought telepathically to Tsunade and Anko. It's a fury from Greek myths, Hades' personal torturers, Tsunade replied, lounging on top of his head. So all that stuff Mr. Brunner was talking about is true? Naruto said, excitement bubbling up as the Uchiha side of him emerged. Sure as brat. Now shut up and pay attention. The old hag is about to call on you, Anko said, wrapping herself around his neck. Mr. Uchiha, what is 40 times 120? Mrs. Dodds asked, hoping to embarrass him. 4,800, he replied, already plotting how to get back at Anko for calling him a brat. Correct, she said, blinking in surprise. She returned to teaching, silently fuming that she couldn't catch Naruto not paying attention. Naruto resumed petting Tsunade, who leaned into it, while Anko grew jealous. A few days later, Naruto was listening to his MP3 player on the way to a museum with his class, sitting beside a girl who had a crush on him, ignoring the fact that she was tossing peanut butter sandwiches at Grover Underwood. It wasn't that Naruto wasn't friends with Grover, he just thought Grover needed to stand up for himself without him or Percy Jackson jumping in. Naruto may have been friends with Grover, but he couldn't stand Percy. When they finally arrived at the museum, Mr. Brunner led the group through the Hall of History. Naruto spotted something that made his eyes widen and moved away from the group. It was a statue in the Japanese section of the museum, depicting him fighting Juubi and Madara, holding both of his weapons. As he touched the statue, Mr. Brunner rolled in with a smile. "Ah, the statue of the hero," he said fondly. "The hero?" Naruto asked, confused. Mr. Brunner nodded, a faint smile on his face. "This statue is dedicated to the hero of the world. It is said he was born of two powerful warriors and cursed on that same night with the heavy burden of a demon. He carried this burden, even becoming friends with it, all the way to his final battle. The beast depicted in the statue is supposed to be the fused version of his demon along with 8 others. It is said he battled the great beast for 9 days and nights until, with one last mighty swing, he forced the beast inside his sword. Samahata, I believe it's called. His sword was lost in time, but it's rumored that Samahata lies at the bottom of the ocean near the prison of the Kraken. His necklace is said to be carried around by Artemis as a form of honoring one of the few men she'll ever respect. His clothes, however, were truly lost in time, and none have ever seen them again. Mr. Brunner then rolled himself back out of the room, missing the gobsmacked look on Naruto's face. How am I a legend in a different dimension? Naruto wondered, genuinely confused. It doesn't matter, Foxy. What matters is that the mortals worship you, and your heroic deeds have been immortalized, Anko said, wrapping around his neck and playfully liking it. But who even spread the word about my deeds? Naruto thought. He sighed and walked outside, spotting a blonde-haired lady eating lunch with the class and Percy looking confused. He shrugged and walked over to Nancy, who instantly started to swoon over him. A few months later, Naruto was packing for summer break, with Tsunade and Anko accompanying him to help keep him grounded and learn more about their new abilities. He planned to explore, train his skills, practice his new bijou powers, maybe slay a few monsters, and find Samahata, as he missed his shark girl sword. As he walked outside the school, he spotted Grover nervously talking to Percy and approached him. "All right, Grover, my man. I'm heading out. Got things to do, places to be, deeds to conquer, waste to clean." "You know the usual," he said, earning a smirk from Grover, who appreciated Naruto's love for nature and their mutual fondness for cheese. Grover smiled as he turned to Naruto and shook the boy's hand. "All right, Naruto, stay safe. If you need help, just go to the address on the card." "Will do, man," Naruto replied with a smile. He then turned to Percy, adopting a serious expression. "Idiot, do try and stay safe this summer." Percy was tempted to respond but decided against it, remembering the man who had taken down 50 jocks in mere seconds. Naruto walked away, using his speed to get home quickly. As he entered his house, he immediately sensed multiple presences inside. Narrowing his eyes, he spotted several girls rummaging through his belongings. Just as he was about to unleash his anger, Grover burst in, looking panicked. Naruto activated the gates of Babylon, using the chains of heaven to restrain the girls. Sensing Grover's fear, he sighed. "Let me guess, the idiot did something stupid, and now you're here to get me to help track him down." This. By the gods, he saw the fates cutting his string. "Do you know what this means?" Grover said, out of breath. Anko, perched on Naruto's head, chimed in. "It means we can do something fun." Tsunade added, "No, you idiot. It means that other idiot is going to die soon." Grover looked confused at the talking animals. "What the Hades?" Think about it later, Naruto replied, not wanting to explain at that moment. He marched past the girls, opened his closet, and rummaged through his clothes. Finding what he needed, he stored it in Babylon and shut the closet door. Grover, just noticing the girls, began to swoon. Naruto stepped out in his casual clothes. All right, goat man, wait outside. I need to speak with these girls for a minute. All right, I'll meet you at Percy's cabin, Grover said before leaving and grabbing a soda on his way out. Naruto turned to the girls and released one of them. Tell me why you are here ransacking my apartment, he asked calmly. Time skip at Percy's cabin. Percy, his mom Sally, and Grover were driving away from the Minotaur when they suddenly felt a presence on top of the car. They looked up to see Naruto standing there with a smirk. Oi, you stupid son of a cow. I'm going to turn you into a triple cheeseburger and use your horns as toothpicks. Come at me, you demon mongrel. He shouted, arms spread wide. The Minotaur roared and charged at him. With a confident grin, Naruto pet his fist back and ran toward the creature. He landed a single punch, sending guts flying and transforming them into gold dust. He caught a pair of horns as the Minotaur fell. You owe me one, dirt boy, he said to Grover before passing out, not from the fight, but from exhaustion after not sleeping for an entire year. Tsunade transformed back into human form and caught him just in time, walking toward the camp with the others following closely behind. Chiron shook his head as he picked up Grover, Percy, and Sally to take them to camp. Third-person POV. The next day, Naruto woke up feeling disoriented. He realized he was nestled against Tsunade and quickly moved to Anko, who hugged him in her sleep. Not in the mood, he swapped places with a plush version of himself. Rubbing the sleep from his eyes, he blinked and noticed he was not in his room. As he got out of bed, he stretched and walked out, ignoring the calls from the blonde girl. Wandering around the camp, he scowled at the various cabins. Spotting a group of girls approaching with arrogant smirks, he narrowed his eyes. The tallest one stepped forward. You're one of the new kids that arrived. It's time for your initiation, she said with a smirk. Naruto sighed. Be gone, pest. I don't have time for your foolish games. If you try, you'll have to deal with me or the two women running toward me. The girls scowled and decided to teach him a lesson. That was a mistake. Naruto grabbed the first girl's hands and crushed them, then kicked another in the stomach, causing her to double over and pass out. The last girl was simply flicked away, sent flying back. Unfazed by the shocked stares of onlookers, Naruto walked into the forest, closed his eyes, and activated Sage Mode. Animals gathered around him, with some fox kits even sitting in his lap. Wood nymphs and dryads danced nearby, while the satyrs, including Grover, bowed low in reverence. The children of Demeter swooned over him, and Chiron entered the clearing, amazed at how nature flowed around Naruto effortlessly, as if he belonged to it. That's when he finally caught the scent of a demigod coming off of Naruto, proving him wrong that Naruto was a monster without a conscience. For some reason, though, Naruto also had the smell of a very powerful, godlike presence surrounding him. Naruto then opened his right eye and looked at the fox kits yipping happily at him. Opening both of his eyes, he picked up one of them and nuzzled it, ignoring the female's attention as they gazed at him with admiration. After finishing his nuzzling, he slowly exited his Sage Mode, shooing the kits back to their mothers. Turning to Mr. Brunner, Naruto said, All right, Chiron, I'm going to guess that the gods and all of that are true and that this camp is a safe haven for demigods. The idiot is a demigod, and that's why Grover was at Yancey, along with why you transferred in right around the middle of the year. He surprised and impressed Chiron with his intelligence. Correct, but how did you know? Chiron asked, curious about Naruto's insight. Naruto snorted. The illusions and mist don't work on the eyes of the mighty Uchiha. Plus, all you did in class was teach us about Greek gods, so ipso facto. This made the centaur wonder who Naruto Uchiha really was. Anyways, will you stay at Half-Blood? Chiron asked, hoping to have this boy become the champion of Half-Blood. I'll stay until Friday, then I'm out on the move, Naruto replied, crushing Chiron's hopes immediately. All right then, once Percy wakes up, all will be explained, Chiron said, nodding. Sure, you do that. Until then, I'm going to be working on some things, like making those two women of mine very happy, he said before catching Anko, who was about to jump on his back. Tsunade then jumped in, cracking the ground beneath her. Mama, Naruto, don't go walking off like that. I would punch you, but you did leave us a body pillow of yourself, she said, holding said pillow that had red lipstick marks on it. All right, relax yourself, and I'll satisfy you later, my legendary sucker, he said, teasing the now red-faced Sannin. He then stood up and ran to the nearest water source, planning on transforming into Isabu to get used to the water, as he was determined to get Samahata back, one way or another. All the while, he still held Anko on his shoulder as she shifted into her snake form. Without her, he felt somewhat incomplete. His necklace from Tsunade could wait until he met Artemis, as he had no doubt in his mind that she would meet him one day. Time skipped 2 days later, Naruto was once again meditating, this time in the middle of the lake, drawing upon the natural energy in the water and tapping into the demonic chakra of Isabu and Leviathan's Sage Mode. He knew this was churning the water beneath him and causing some unusual phenomena to appear. Hearing someone call his name, he opened his right eye and spotted Annabeth Chase, giving him a powerful glare. Dropping his Sage Mode, he walked on the water to the shore. "How may I help you, Annabeth-chan?" he said with a charming smile. "You never answered my question," she said, hands on her hips. "I'm sorry, I was distracted by your outstanding beauty and didn't even hear your question. Please do me a favor and remind me of it," he replied, just as Tsunade, in her slug form, slapped him on the head. Annabeth, blushing, said, "I asked you if you wanted to be on my team for the Capture the Flag game tomorrow." "Depends, is the idiot working with you?" he said, expressing his disdain for teaming up with Percy. "Yes, Percy is going to be on my team," she replied, blinking. "Then no, because I don't work with idiots, and every time I see him, Anko always asks me to let her eat him," he said, while Anko began to salivate at the thought. He turned around, about to walk back to the middle of the lake when Annabeth grabbed his hand and turned him back around. "You won't be working with him, you'll be working with me," she insisted, using her best pleading expression. "I'm immune to that technique, I created it," he smirked at her surprised face. "I'll give you some chocolate," she offered, having learned from Grover about his favorite treat. "Deal," he exclaimed, now eager for chocolate. "Good," she said, smiling, knowing she had found a way to persuade him. He walked back to the middle of the lake, feeling like he might regret this decision. Ignoring the giggling snake on his head, he resumed his exercise, disregarding the playful water sprites swimming around him as he turned the lake into a whirlpool. The next day was the Capture the Flag event, and Naruto wanted to get it over with so he could embark on his journey to find Samahata, his favorite weapon. He had already planned to start in Florida, following his instincts from there, as it all felt incredibly strange. He then noticed some chameleon armor placed in front of him and ignored it. "Keep the armor. I'm a trained warrior with no need for weak, clunky armor. Besides, if I wanted to, I could create my own," he said confidently. "Stop complaining, Naruto, and just put the armor on," Annabeth said, clearly annoyed by his dismissal of the gear. "Gilgamesh," he declared, and a dark suit of armor appeared around him. They all gasped at the sight, especially feeling the power radiating from it. The power felt worse than when Dionysus was angry. "Like I said, I don't need that armor. I have my own armor. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to return to my thoughts until the game begins," Naruto said to the shocked Annabeth. As he walked away, he noticed the jealousy in Luke's eyes and decided to set that aside. Annabeth, on the other hand, was staring at Naruto with wonder. Finally, it was time for the game, and Naruto stood beside Annabeth. "All right, Naruto. Since you're the most talented out of all of us, I want you to capture the flag. Try to do so without injuring too many people," she said to the bored god of shinobi. "Yeah, whatever. Let's just get this over with already," he replied, yawning. Annabeth had to resist the urge to groan at his lack of enthusiasm. The horn blew, announcing the beginning of the game. Sing. This, Naruto decided to fly, using his powers from the 10 tails, who could fly naturally. He opened his palms and used the creation of all things. Creation of all things, Kikai beetles, death butterflies, centipedes, giant millipedes, black wasps, hellfire moths, he declared, and a swarm of insects appeared around him. "Alright, it's showtime. Go and do what you do, my friends," he said, pointing his finger out. The insects spread out, and soon people were seen falling, being carried away by butterflies, buried by centipedes, running from millipedes, being stung by wasps, or rolling on the ground trying to extinguish blue flames. Naruto floated over to Ares' side, spotting the flag unguarded. He swooped down at high speed and snatched it. Flying over to the Athena side, he rolled his eyes at Percy, who was breathing after being bested by Clarice and her sisters. Annabeth stared at him in amazement, a small blush creeping onto her face. He wondered why until he remembered he released pheromones to those he desired as a mate, and he had removed the top of his armor, leaving his upper body visible, including his tattooed right arm. The red marks on his skin had been there since birth, a testament to his warrior lineage. He dropped to the ground, stabbed the flag into the earth, and the victory horn blew. Standing up, he scowled, sensing something he wasn't supposed to. His gaze shifted, and everyone followed his eyes, gasping. Above Percy's head was an aquamarine trident symbol. "Oh my gods!" Annabeth exclaimed, surprised, though the incident with Clarice and her friends had hinted at it. "All hail Percy Jackson, son of Poseidon, god of the seas and earthquakes," a random camper declared. Everyone except Naruto bowed. "Why aren't you bowing?" Annabeth asked, giving him a pointed look. Because even if the god of the seas is his father, he's still an idiot of the highest degree. I don't care if his dad's one of the big three. Waterboy here couldn't last 5 seconds in my world. None of you could, not even Chiron, the mighty trainer of heroes, he scoffed. Naruto's eyes then landed on a hellhound, and while everyone was distracted, he tossed a kunai beside it, making everyone blink, including the hound. Annabeth caught sight of the kunai and gasped, recognizing the 3 blades and the special seal carved into it. She turned to find Naruto already gone in a flash of gold. Naruto appeared in front of the hellhound and unleashed a wind-style Rasengan. The attack slammed into the creature, lifting it into the air with a howl of pain. Deciding to honor Sasuke, he lifted his hand. "This one's for you, Sasuke team. Obliterate all within my path. Kuro Kirin." A massive roar echoed, and people swore they heard the hellhound whimper in fear. Annabeth looked up, her jaw dropping as a dragon as black as night coiled high above, its baleful yellow eyes piercing. It was enormous, capable of taking up 16 apartment blocks with ease. With another roar, it launched itself down on the hellhound. Naruto appeared before Annabeth and wrapped his arms around her. "Close your eyes, this is going to be bright," he said, offering her a happy smile. Annabeth shut her eyes tight, sinking into his embrace just as the Kirin struck, shaking the entire camp, and even Long Island itself. "All right, you can open your eyes," he said to Annabeth, who was sniffing his chest. As everyone opened their eyes, they gasped at the sight of a black hole the size of a small house where the hellhound had been, along with a wall of glass. Annabeth looked at Naruto, who stared at the spot as if it were normal. Then she noticed something floating above his head, a pink dove with a plant in its mouth, alongside images of the planet Earth, a cloud in the sky, the sea, and a void in the background. Everyone gasped, except Naruto, who was lost in thought. "Dear Zeus, a child of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, and eternal youth, who likes to fight and smells like a godlike monster," Chiron remarked. "He's also the champion of 4 primordial gods," which shocked everyone, even the gods who were watching. "Oi, you talking sack of glue. I don't smell like a monster, it's the Juubi and the remnants of Madara," Naruto said, changing into his casual clothes. The Juubi as in the great primordial god of the apocalypse and Madara Uchiha, the man who started an entire war. Chiron asked, ignoring the insult. "No, the Juubi as in a pack of beans you'll buy online," Naruto replied with a deadpan expression. "Naruto, this world of yours wouldn't happen to be the elemental nations, would it?" Chiron realized who Naruto truly was and why he had many unique abilities. "That's it. That's my home. The place I was born, where I grew up, where I was trained to be a warrior, and the place I was supposed to die in. But the Shinigami decided to send me here, and so help me Kami, the next time I see that death god, I'm going to confront him, Naruto vowed, his determination evident. He then began talking to his animal companions, ignoring the wide-eyed expressions of everyone around him and how Chiron was stuttering about having the king of heroes in his camp. After finishing his conversation, Naruto yawned. "Welp, I'm bored now. It's time for me to catch some sleep. See ya later," he said before disappearing in a flash, making it seem as if he had never been there. The next day, he donned his captain's uniform with Excalibur Morgan at his waist in Avalon. Tsunade was with him in her human form, just like when he made her Hokage years ago. Anko was sleeping in the dragon summoning realm, preparing to transform into a dragon to better support him. As they walked toward the border, they felt Annabeth running toward them. Turning around, Naruto sighed as he spotted her with an angry look on her face. "Where are you going?" Annabeth asked, upset that he was leaving so suddenly. "He's going out for a pack of cigarettes. You want anything from the store?" Tsunade joked. "Yeah, you want some milk from the store?" Naruto added, joining in on the humor. "It's not funny. You can't leave the safety of the camp. A monster will kill you." Annabeth scowled at their jokes. "You've got it flipped. If a monster comes near me, I'm going to be the one doing the killing," Naruto said, smirking confidently. "What about Grover?" she pressed, hoping to use friendship to make him stay. "Goat Boy has a job protecting everyone, and there's no way I'm helping him with that," Naruto replied, expressing his reluctance to protect someone who reminded him of his father. "You can't leave. The camp might fall under attack and we'll need you," Annabeth insisted, trying to appeal to his sense of duty. "There are Hierarchan markers all around the camp, so if I sense danger, I'll come back and deal with it," he said, rolling his eyes. "Tsunade, hurry up. I want to go find a casino and test my luck in this dimension. The legendary sucker will be no more," she exclaimed, raising her fist in excitement. "You'll always be the legendary sucker to me, my slug queen," Naruto teased, causing Tsunade to blush. "Whatever," she said, looking away. "I can't stop you two from leaving, can I?" Annabeth said, choosing to ignore their banter. "Nope," Naruto replied, still smirking. "Well, fine, but—" Annabeth began before surprising him with a deep hug. He laughed and hugged her back, placing a Hierarchan marker on her back, sensing she might need help. "Sure, Annabeth," he said, giving her a gentle kiss on the forehead, making her blush. He then separated from her and walked out with Tsunade, excitement in his eyes. "All right, time to get even richer and find Samahata," he said to Tsunade, who agreed, eager to gamble with him. "Yeah, now come on, Foxy. Let's kill some monsters and gamble," she said excitedly. Just then, they encountered a pack of hellhounds and a group of cyclopes. "Well, speak of the Shinigami," Naruto said, pulling out Avalon and preparing for battle. "Maybe I can exercise my muscles," Tsunade added, cracking her fists as they engaged the cyclopes. A day later, Naruto and Tsunade were laughing as they left another casino, their pockets full. As they continued their journey, they were approached by more cyclopes, all looking for trouble. Naruto charged up explosive chakra in his hand and punched one cyclops in the face, causing it to burst into a shower of gold dust. He melted another with a glob of lava, froze a third, and shattered it into pieces. The last two fell to his wind attacks. Afterward, he walked back to their camp, packing everything up as he headed west, ignoring the high-energy signatures following him. Suddenly, he stopped, hearing something crying. Entering a nearby forest, he blinked in surprise at the sight of a little girl, lost and crying, as if she had been wandering the woods for days. "Little girl, what's wrong, little one?" he asked, crouching down to her level. The girl replied, "Daddy hurt Mommy, and then bad men came and took him away. Mommy won't stop bleeding and is getting cold." She spoke while being healed by Tsunade. Tsunade looked at her with concern. "Why are you out here in the forest?" The girl explained, "I was going to get Mommy some herbs like she did for me." She was now healed but still hungry. Naruto said, "Take me to your mommy, little one. I promise I'll heal her right up." He offered her a genuine smile that rarely appeared. The little girl perked up and led Naruto to a small cottage in the woods. Upon arrival, Naruto saw a blonde-haired woman leaning against the wall with a knife in her stomach. He shook his head in disbelief. "Can you hear me?" he asked. The woman gasped, "Help me," relieved that someone had come to assist her. Naruto placed his hand on her wound, and it began to glow green as he removed the knife. He yawned as the woman's age seemed to reverse, and the scars from her past vanished. Standing up, he turned to the wide-eyed little girl. "Your mommy is fine now. Just wait for her to wake up. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to continue my journey." He gently patted her on the head. The girl realized she hadn't learned his name. "Wait, what's your name, mister?" she asked, eager to remember him. "My name is Naruto. Don't forget it," he replied before he and Tsunade vanished in a swirl. In her hand, 2 cards floated. One was a business card with his name, number, and picture, while the other was a debit card filled with billions of dollars. "I'll never forget you, Mr. Naruto," she exclaimed with a smile before running back to her cottage. Unbeknownst to them, a woman smiled from behind a tree. "What you did for that mother and child was most impressive. It seems you are the hero of legend. I'll be watching you and your girlfriend more closely," she said before disappearing in a flurry of peacock feathers. 3 days later, Naruto was feeling bored after defeating over 1,000 monsters, including a lion whose pelt he wore around his shoulders. He had also been banned from casinos in North America due to him and Tsunade bankrupting over 80% of them. Currently, he was enjoying some pork after defeating the Caledonian boar, sent by Artemis to test him. "It seems I finally have the attention of the gods. Sadly, it's only the moron Ares," he said, dissatisfied. Tsunade chimed in, "God of War, my foot. If you ever faced him in battle, you'd wipe the floor with him, even with all those resistance seals. You know, Tsunade, you really are the wife I've never had. Maybe one of these days, I'll just go ahead and propose to you," he teased, noticing her happiness. "Really? I mean whatever," she replied, trying to hide her excitement. Just as he was about to laugh, he sensed something approaching. Turning his head, he spotted a huge creature with the head of a lion, a goat, and a snake for a tail. "I hope it can handle the Sannin," he said, letting Tsunade take the lead as he wanted to see how far her strength could go against the beast. 5 minutes later, they walked away with the creature engulfed in Amaterasu flames, defeated by the Slug Queen. As they passed a tree, he sensed his Hyrule tag going crazy regarding Annabeth. He placed another tag on the tree before teleporting to Auntie M's Garden Gnome Emporium. In a flash of red, he appeared just in time to face Medusa. "So, you're the mighty Medusa. Someone betrayed and turned into a monster like me," he said, surprising her. "Who are you, boy, and what do you mean, betrayed like you?" she asked, intrigued. "When I was 4, a villager told me he would be my friend. I believed him, but he led me to a mob that attacked me. My mother, Mikoto, saved me and dealt with them. That day, I learned the world is a cruel place filled with pain," he shared, noticing Annabeth gasping behind him, shocked by his past. Medusa asked, "How do you live with this pain? How did you deal with it?" "Simple. I had therapy when I was adopted into the Uchiha Clan. But it didn't fix everything. I still have flashbacks and nightmares. Luckily, I sleep with Tsunade, who comforts me," he explained, realizing they shared a similar experience. "Perhaps you are right, boy, but who would want to spend time with me?" Medusa wondered aloud. A monster who had turned hundreds of thousands into stone. "Not that anyone would want to spend time with a monster like me," she said. Naruto replied, "How about me?" He pulled out the Holy Grail, and the nearby monsters felt its power and fled in terror. "I'd like you to be my servant. Not in SLV way but as a familiar. To me, you are an equal." He reached out his hand to the Gorgon, who was considering her options. "All right, you have a deal. But on one condition," Medusa said, wanting to test his resolve. "Name your condition," Naruto replied, curious about what she wanted. "Tell me who you really are. I know that question is the least painful one based on your eyes, so share your entire story from start to finish," she said, surprising him. He felt his expression grow colder as memories of his past surfaced. "Fine, I'll tell you after this quest is done, I promise," he said, looking at the smiling Gorgon. "Thank you," she replied, smiling before shaking his hand and disappearing in the process. Naruto smiled, realizing that Medusa wasn't as bad as he had thought. All he had to do was talk to her. He turned to Annabeth, who was in shock at the revelation that his torture was the least painful experience he had endured. "I swear on the Holy Grail that you'll never tell anyone," he said, still holding his cup. "But Annabeth began before he cut her off. "I don't need people trying to help me with comments like, 'The villagers are just coping.' I murdered them years ago, and they still affect me. Plus, the Holy Grail is one of the most powerful weapons in existence, and I feel better with you swearing to this instead of a river," he explained as he walked toward her. "Shake my hand, wise girl. Please, and I'll tell you my story in a more private setting." Annabeth nodded and shook his hand before pulling him into a surprise hug. "What's this for?" he asked, already knowing the answer. "A way to make you feel better," she said, surprising him with her kindness in a world that often felt cruel. "Thank you for that. It felt nice. Now don't tell anyone, like the idiot or Grover," he said before kissing her on the cheek, making her blush as he used his powers to vanish. Grover appeared with Percy after dealing with traps that Naruto's clone had set to keep them busy. "Are you alright?" he asked. "I'm fine. Come on, let's get moving again. We have to find the Ember Bolt before a war starts," Annabeth said, still blushing from the kiss as she rubbed her cheek. Meanwhile, Naruto was back at the tree with Tsunade, who was enjoying some dango. They continued to their camp, where they began to relax together. Medusa watched in her spirit form, enjoying the sight of the two. 3 hours later, Naruto emerged shirtless in casual breathes while she rested in the tent. "Whoever you are, you have 5 seconds to reveal yourself before I unleash my powers," he warned, activating his abilities. Nothing happened at first, until a woman slowly walked out of the bushes, revealing Aphrodite in her Kushina form, wearing a bright smile. Naruto, spotting her, deactivated his powers and looked at her with indifference. "Oh, it's you. I thought it was someone worth my time," he said, ignoring the scowl on her face. "Aren't you glad to see me?" she asked, expecting a warm reunion. "I'm not, and I wouldn't be even if you were holding my necklace and Samahadaheim," he replied, causing her heart to fill with regret. "Why aren't you happy to see your mother?" she asked, confused by his coldness. "My mother's dead. She's been gone since I was 6, killed by her own family to save me and Sasuke. After that, I was tortured and abused by the villagers until I activated my powers, becoming the king of heroes and god of shinobi. I also learned who my father truly was and that you were still alive," he explained, watching her sadness deepen. "You think I wanted to abandon you? The moment you were born, I knew you would be special." She cried. "You just don't get it, do you? I hate you. No excuse will fix what happened to me years ago, but I thank you for abandoning me. If you hadn't, I would have been weaker than I am now," he said, his anger boiling over. In a moment of rage, he took one of her eyes and sealed it away, ensuring she could never replace it. "Until you prove you're worthy of my forgiveness, you'll never get it back. Even if you take a different form, you'll always have one eye to show people your failure," he said to the shocked love goddess, now realizing this punishment is permanent until she proves herself to him. "Don't worry though, you're not the only one I dislike. I have my grievances with Zeus for his foolishness, Ares for his arrogance, Hercules for his pride, and many of the other gods for not claiming their children. I bear no ill will towards Hera, Athena, Persephone, Artemis, Hades, and Hermes. I may be arrogant, but not that arrogant," he acknowledged, aware of his faults but not yet ready to act on them. "If you saved the world from total Armageddon, you might feel the same way." Aphrodite realized her relationship with him would be far more difficult than she had anticipated. With one eye less and a son who wouldn't care if she faded away, she felt a deep sense of loss. Naruto then looked at the forest and pointed his hand at it. "Look and see with your one eye a drop of my power. Burn out, Amaterasu," he declared, and black flames shot forth, consuming the forest. The cries of many monsters echoed as they were engulfed. He laughed at their pain and misery. "Burn, mongrels, burn," he shouted, laughing maniacally. Once he was sure all the monsters were dead and absorbed by his essence, he cancelled the flames. Using his wood release, he restored the forest, making it better than before. Wood release secret technique, nativity of a world of trees, he announced, creating an entire forest without hand signs. Now go away and sort out your issues. I have a CC Sanin to get back to, he said, walking away, unaware of the animals surrounding his tent, treating him like a god. With that, she vanished in tears, leaving behind rose petals. 3 days later, Naruto stood atop the Lincoln Memorial, his yellow eyes focused on the many people around him, with Tsunade sleeping on his head after 2 days of intimacy. Dressed in casual clothes, he felt animals, satyrs, nymphs, monsters, dragons, phoenixes, and spirits following him like he was some deity. Initially, he considered eliminating them but decided against spilling innocent BLD if he could avoid it. His gaze fell on a hellhound at his feet, acting like a puppy. He had dealt with the others, knowing they were sent by Kronos to kill him. This one, however, he had found injured and healed, and she became his pet. Come on, girl, go to the Fox dimension and learn something from them, he instructed as she walked through a portal. After it closed, he dodged a Hydra head lunging at him. Looking down, he saw the Hydra hissing. I'm going to make you pay for that, he said, activating his EMS. Pulling out Excalibur Morgan, he entered transparent Susan, the giant blade growing alongside him. With a swift movement, he brought the blade down on the Hydra, slicing off all its heads. He then jumped up and slashed down with Excalibur Morgan, incinerating the Hydra due to the Juubi's BLD on both the sword and its sheath, Avalon. You'll have to try harder, Kronos. A weak Hydra is nothing compared to the might of a rampaging bijou, Udaman mongrel, he remarked before walking away, still ignoring the creatures following him. He felt a pull from Annabeth and sighed, flashing to her location just in time to catch a fireball from an ugly snake woman. Echidna, I suggest you take your children and move along because I'm really not in the mood to deal with you right now, he said, having other matters to attend to. So you're the one accompanying the one who killed my daughter? Echidna exclaimed, unaware that the one was right there, awake and furious at being called that. Tsunade stepped forward. How dare you call me that? I'm no one to be disrespected, she shouted, charging toward the mother of monsters, who felt a twinge of fear as the ground shook beneath Tsunade's advance. After the battle, Echidna lay bloodied and bruised on the ground, her brood incapacitated. During the fight, Naruto had been flirting with Annabeth, who enjoyed his compliments and his pragmatic view on life. He believed that true peace, where everyone was happy without conflict, was a fool's dream, something unreachable. There was darkness in everyone, and when brought to light, it turned a person ugly. He sought to rule with power over all, viewing compassion as a weakness. No human in this dimension or weapon could truly challenge me, he thought, believing that turning democracy into dictatorship would be easy. All he had to do was say the right things to the masses, and they would believe him. I tried to warn you, but now you must suffer the consequences. Chibaku Tensei, he declared, launching the mother of all monsters into the sky along with her brood. Huge chunks of earth floated into the air, along with metal and water, as he pushed it all into space, creating a second moon for eternity. People across the world were stunned by the sight of 2 moons in the sky. The tides grew larger, and the nights became clearer, much to the delight of surfers who could ride the waves more effectively. Naruto looked around, a grin on his face. Now look at this. I've done something most heroes dream of doing, he said, drawing confused looks from everyone except Annabeth, the daughter of Athena. You've left a permanent mark on the world, Annabeth replied, awe evident in her voice. You've done something Hercules himself failed to do. This symbol of yours will last long after humanity ends. Correct, my bookworm. You really need to learn to stay calm, babe. I can't have you summoning me for any reason, he teased before he and Tsunade vanished into thin air, much to her displeasure. They reappeared at the Lincoln Memorial, walking past the burning heads of the Hydra. It's about time for another god to make their presence known, Naruto said, anticipating an appearance. Suddenly, he heard the voice of a certain trickster. Can't wait for what? Hermes laughed, clearly amused by Naruto's expression. Yeah, wait for what? Apollo chimed in, joining the laughter. So it's the sun god and the messenger god, Naruto said, relieved to see gods he found likable. He walked over to Hermes and shook hands with the god, who smiled back. Why are you two here? We're here to tell you that Ares is coming for you, Hermes explained, concern in his tone. Apparently, Aphrodite kicked him to the curb and decided she wanted true love. Also, Zeus is not happy with what you did to his pets. Ares is weak against me. As for old lightning, but he can go kick rocks for all I care, Naruto replied, making the two gods laugh. I'm here to tell you that you've made my little sister Artemis more powerful by creating another moon. In fact, I think you've brought back Selene, as the other moon needs to be pulled by the other moon goddess. Thank you for giving her more power to protect herself, Apollo said, patting Naruto on the shoulder. Whatever. Her getting more power was just an aftereffect of this. Also, stop looking at Tsunade like that or I'll make sure you regret it, Naruto warned, noticing Apollo's sudden pale expression. Yup, won't do it again, Apollo said, giving a thumbs up before vanishing in a flash of light. Naruto and Tsunade then walked out of the memorial, ignoring Hermes as he vanished in a gust of wind. They made their way to an empty clearing in a forest. Alright, it's time to finish training in mode, Naruto said, nodding at Tsunade. Are you sure it's a good idea to train in the forest rather than those dimensions you showed me? It would be more intelligent and no one would be able to find out what your moves are, she pointed out. Fine, let's go, he said, slightly annoyed but amused by her concern. Yamatsu Hirasaka. He opened a jagged portal in the middle of the clearing, and they stepped through to the dragon summoning realm. I always forget how breathtaking this place is, Naruto said, jumping off the edge, causing Tsunade to gasp as there was no ground in this world. He began to fly, joined by other dragons soaring alongside him. They headed toward the boss cave at the center of the realm. Alright, we're here, he announced as the other dragons flew away, wary of Tiamat, who was known to be aggressive during mating season. Tsunade, I think you should find Anko. Tiamat is very aggressive this time of year, he advised, and she agreed, quickly mounting a dragon to find Anko. Naruto entered the cave. Tia, come out. It's me, Naruto, he called out, spotting Tiamat waiting for him. Ah, Naruto, my favorite summoner, she said, pulling him into a hug. I'm your only summoner, he replied, enjoying the moment. That's what makes you so special. Why are you in such a young body? She asked, her eyes sparkling. I went through a portal, and it changed my body to what I needed it to be for my goals. So, are you going to put me down now? He asked. Nope. You're in this young body that needs to be taught by Mama Tiamat. Plus, I'll have you take my virginity that I was saving for after that war, she said happily, walking off to her bed while still holding him. He wasn't seen for 2 days, and sounds could be heard from the cave. A few days later, after spending time with Tiamat, Naruto sensed Annabeth, Grover, and the others nearby. He pushed open the door to a restaurant, spotting the three sitting across from Ares. A pleased smirk appeared on his face as he walked past the waitress and leaned on Ares' seat. Ares snarled at him, anger evident. What are you doing here, you little brat? Why, I'm here to check on Bookworm, as I sensed she was in trouble. Though instead, I find the wannabe war god sitting across from her, Naruto replied, smirking at Ares' furious expression. Who are you calling a wannabe? Ares shouted, his temper flaring. Naruto stood up, staring down at Ares with a smirk. Obviously, the Terminator reject right in front of me, he said, watching as Ares turned red with anger. The god of war stormed out of the diner, clearly frustrated, while Naruto laughed at his plight. I love taunting people, he added, returning to his usual demeanor. Excuse me, ma'am, I'd like to order some food, please, he said, acting like royalty. The waitress blushed and went to fulfill his request. So, what did the wimpy war god ask you to get? Naruto inquired, curious about Ares' instructions. You should stop taunting him like that, Naruto. He could really hurt you, Annabeth warned, concerned for his safety. Greater beings have tried and failed to kill me, babe. I've absorbed 3 of them, he replied, surprising her. She realized he was referring to the 10 Tails and Madara, but wondered who the third was. Besides, only those who fear him respect him, he said, sipping his coffee. I guess that makes sense. Anyway, we're going to a water park to retrieve Ares' shield since he left it behind. In exchange, we get a ride to the west, Annabeth explained as Naruto devoured a plate of food in 30 seconds. After finishing, he generously tipped the waitress. It's probably a trap since he could just do it himself. Why would he care about you proving yourself when he could just trick you? I have to go, I have things to do, he said sarcastically before leaving. As he stepped outside, he sensed someone teleporting nearby. He walked out of the diner and noticed 2 figures in the distance. They bowed at his feet, and he regarded them with the authority of a king. Tell me why you 2 are here. You have something to report, my loyal subjects, he commanded, noticing them blush. Monsieur, we're here to report that your company, Capsule Corp, has bought Amazon for $10 billion and Disney for $200 billion. It's barely a dent in our finances. The media is still reeling from your brilliant display of power in creating another moon. You have the business and entertainment world at your feet, one of them said, praising him. Yes, and Triumvirate Holdings are still managing your business as usual, funding the wars. Those 3 Roman brats fell to their knees after your display of power. Luckily, they offered you a trade to avoid your wrath. Media for you and for them, some capsules of limited edition, the other added, admiring him. It's good, after all, media has proven valuable in my efforts, Naruto replied with a smirk, hinting at the affection he felt. Anyway, continue your work, and I'll reward you too with anything you want. After all, you're my servants and my family. He gave both women head pats, causing them to blush even more. Now go, my favorite servants, and continue your work for my rise too. The top, he instructed, watching as they teleported away with determination. He then flew to the water park, feeling a familiar tag on his back go wild. Sighing, he teleported to the front of the park and watched as Annabeth and Percy were about to crash to the ground. Rolling his eyes, he opened a Yamatsu Hirasaka portal near them, grabbing Annabeth before Percy could. Seriously, babe, this whole thing smells like a prank, and you, the idiot and goat boy walked right into it, he said, looking down at a wide-eyed Annabeth. He walked on water, placing her gently on the ground before turning to Grover. Goat boy, are the monsters still following me like lovesick puppies? He asked with a neutral expression. Grover sniffed the air, eyes widening. Wyatt, there's a bunch following you, he exclaimed, scared. Good. Now prepare to see why I'm called the King of Heroes. Naruto declared before opening the gate, letting the monsters pour in. Gates of Babylon. The 3 watched in awe as weapons from famous heroes and gods of other pantheons appeared. The monsters trembled at the divine nature of the weapons. Prepare to die, mongrels. Naruto shouted, unleashing the weapons on the monsters, who were quickly defeated. As he absorbed their remains, he smirked at the gods through Hephaestus TV. I shall tell you a piece of who I truly am. I am the reincarnation of the first hero in history, King Gilgamesh of Uruk. He proclaimed, shocking everyone watching. That is what happens. Ares, if you trick my babe into something like this again, I'll take over the mantle of the god of war. Oh, and Zeus, come and bite me. He added, flipping off Ares and Zeus before destroying the TV, cutting the transmission. Or maybe god of destruction. I've always liked destroying things, both physically and emotionally, he said, glancing at a shocked Annabeth. Wait, you're Gilgamesh's reincarnation? She asked, astonished. Does that mean the Babylonian gods exist? Do other mythologies exist? What god made this world? She said, intrigued by this discovery. Naruto replied, most of the Babylonian gods have faded away due to their names being lost forever and their stories being destroyed. Only a few, like Ishtar, Ereshkigal, Tiamat, and Nergal, have survived through the ages. The other questions will be answered later. With that, he teleported them to a truck heading to Vegas. Back on Olympus, Zeus and Ares were furious, feeling disrespected by the unruly brat who happened to be the reincarnation of Gilgamesh. Hercules, go and deal with that golden brat. Zeus commanded, addressing Hercules, who had now become a god. Aphrodite, wearing an eye patch, widened her eyes in surprise. "I wouldn't do that, father," Apollo cautioned, sensing Zeus's anger at his son's defiance. "Why not?" Zeus demanded, ready to lash out. "Because Hercules will fall to this boy. When I see him, I feel pure fear, the kind that tells me he could destroy this entire world if he truly wanted to," Apollo explained, shocking the others with the potential threat this boy posed. Hera, overhearing this, decided to intervene. "Send the brat to face this man. I want to see the outcome," she said, ignoring Hercules' glare. "Yes, send Heracles to fight him. I want to see the power this boy keeps hidden," Athena added, intrigued by the boy who had made her favorite child fall in love. "It's been decided then. Hercules, defeat him, and you'll earn your place among the Olympians," Zeus declared, sounding almost giddy. Gladly, Hercules smirked, jumping from Olympus to Naruto's location. Ares was confident that this unruly brat would finally be brought down, while Aphrodite worried for Naruto. Hera planned to watch the fight closely, and Artemis intended to observe with her hunters to see if Naruto was truly the hero he was meant to be. Naruto was walking in the woods when suddenly Hercules jumped in with his axe sword, creating a giant cloud of dust. When the dust settled, Naruto was seen holding the sword with one hand. "So they sent the great hero, Hercules. Perhaps you might be the challenge I'm looking for in this world," he said, tossing the sword aside as Hercules landed on one knee. "I'm going to teach you respect, boy," Hercules snarled. "Says the guy who beat his music teacher for being too slow." "Hypocrite," Naruto retorted, infuriating Hercules further. As Hercules charged at him, Naruto sidestepped the punch. "Too slow," he taunted, making Hercules even angrier. Hercules swung again, but Naruto punched him in the stomach. Hercules tried to retaliate, but Naruto ducked and kicked him in the chin. Hercules growled and punched the ground, causing cracks to form. Naruto stomped down, splitting the earth open. Hercules barely avoided falling in and charged again, but Naruto jumped over him and kicked him in the back of the head. Hercules, now furious, tossed his shield at Naruto. To his surprise, Naruto caught it, spun around, and threw it back with greater force, sending Hercules crashing into a tree. Naruto appeared before him, delivering a series of blows. Hercules thought he had the upper hand when he grabbed Naruto's fist, but he didn't notice the explosive tag on his sword. "Boom," Naruto said nonchalantly. Hercules was sent flying back. When he landed, he saw Naruto looking down at him with boredom. "Aren't you supposed to be some kind of god?" Naruto insulted him. "I am a god." Hercules roared. Naruto responded by kicking him in the stomach and ripping off one of his arms, causing Hercules to howl in pain. "No, you're just a spoiled brat who needs a reality check," Naruto smirked. "Lucky for you, I have just what you need." He then unleashed a flurry of punches, sending Hercules flying backward. Flashing in front of Hercules, Naruto kicked him into the air and punched him in his remaining arm, causing Hercules to spin. Naruto summoned one of his black rods, stabbing it into Hercules' hand. Connecting a chain to the rod, he slammed Hercules down into the ground and sent a jolt of lightning down the chain, making Hercules scream in agony. Naruto whipped the chain, forcing Hercules into the air again. Summoning even more chains, he pierced Hercules everywhere and set the chains on fire, intensifying the torture. "Please, make it stop," Hercules begged. "No," Naruto replied coldly as Hercules endured the flames. Satisfied with the outcome, Naruto walked away, leaving Hercules strapped to the ground in agony. "Oh, what a wonderful life," he said before stepping through a portal. The gods watching were shocked. Hera pretended to be surprised but was secretly pleased that Hercules had been defeated. Apollo struggled to contain his laughter at the sight of Hercules in such a state. Dionysus eagerly anticipated sharing the story with the camp. Hermes was doing the same as Apollo. Athena was contemplating her feelings about Naruto. Artemis, along with her hunters, stared in shock at what had just happened to Hercules. Turning to her second-in-command, she could see the awe reflected in her eyes. Ares was visibly agitated, spotting his brother hanging suspended in the air by chains, looking defeated. Poseidon wondered if he should be concerned about his son. Demeter was curious about Naruto's eating habits. Hestia, tending to the fire, was fascinated by the pure power emanating from Naruto. Aphrodite was astonished at how formidable and captivating her son had become. Zeus, like Ares, was already planning a quest to rescue Hercules. Naruto was sitting at his camp, reading a book, when he sensed someone approaching. He stepped out of his tent and saw a woman with black hair standing outside, her smile reminiscent of someone he knew. "Who are you?" he asked, preparing for the unexpected. "I'm Nyx, Primordial of the Night," she replied, surprising him. "Why is the Primordial of Night here?" he asked, confused. "Is there somewhere a little more private?" she inquired. "Wood release, 4-pillar house technique," he said, tapping the ground with his foot. A wooden mansion appeared behind them, adorned with the Uchiha Clan symbol. He led her inside and sat in a comfy chair while she faced him. "Now, what do you want?" he asked, a hint of annoyance in his voice. "I want to be close to you," she said, her intentions clear. Naruto's mind raced, but he felt drawn to her. "It would be my honor," he smirked. Nyx smiled and moved closer to him, their connection palpable. The next morning, Naruto awoke to find Nyx lying on top of him. His eyes shot open and he blinked, realizing she was still there. Her movement must have stirred him as she opened her eyes and gazed into his. "Good morning. That was much better than what I've experienced before," she said, tracing circles on his chest. "Thank you for the compliment, but why are you still here? Aren't you supposed to leave since you're the Primordial of the Night?" he asked, intrigued. "I can leave any time I want, but right now, I choose to stay," she replied with a giggle. "Why?" he wondered. "I've been waiting for you for a while. The thought of you excites me in ways I haven't felt before," she said, wrapping her arms around his neck, her eyes sparkling. "We just met yesterday," he pointed out. "No, you met a construct of mine back in the elemental nations. I believe she was named Hinata," she explained, causing him to feel a mix of shock and nostalgia. "You're Hinaheim," he exclaimed. "She was a construct of me," Nyx confirmed, holding him tightly. "What happened to her after the war?" he asked, concerned. "She lived a long life and raised the twins we had before she passed away peacefully. She never took another lover after you," Nyx said, smiling gently as she rubbed his cheek. "At least she lived a long life," he replied, accepting the truth. "Yes, but when she passed, she rejoined me, and I kept the memories of you and our children close to my heart. It's wonderful to be here with you now," she said, her affection evident. "Good for you, my queen," he said, affectionately rubbing her cheek, which made her blush. "I know you're going to have a HRM, Naruto-kun, and I want to be part of it. I need to choose who is allowed to join you," she declared, laying on his chest with heart-filled eyes. "All right then, but don't you have a husband?" he asked, curious. "Erebus and I were never married. It was just a few encounters. I don't know why people thought we were," she said, scowling at the thought. "Good, then I'll claim you for myself," he said, feeling a surge of determination. "Are you ready to begin?" he asked, excitement in his voice. "Dean, right I am," she replied, smirking. The two spent the following days together, deepening their bond. Later, Naruto found himself sitting on a beach, waiting for his friends to arrive. Nyx was in the mansion, resting peacefully after their time together. His attention shifted as Annabeth, Grover, and Percy appeared, with Percy holding the Emsar bolt. Naruto wasn't surprised to see it. He knew it was in the pack the water boy had received from Ares. He had let it happen, eager for a chance to confront the god of war. He stood up, counting down in his head before God arrived. Sure enough, Ares appeared and, not noticing him, spoke to Percy, Annabeth, and Grover. He then summoned a boar to attack the three. Naruto, stomping his foot, created a huge hand of sand that crushed the boar before it could even move. Suddenly, all eyes turned to him. "Looks like the wannabe god and the crybaby titan have teamed up. Can't say I wasn't expecting it," he said with a smirk. "Shut up," Ares shouted. "I've been waiting to take you down after you made Aphrodite leave me and injured my brother. You're dead meat." He pulled out his sword. "Come at me," Naruto replied, smirking. Ares charged at Naruto, who activated his Rinnegan and EMS. He dashed towards Ares, clashing fists with him, sending a powerful shockwave across the beach. Ares swung his sword, growling as Naruto countered with Madara's gunbai, producing a loud clang. Maybe you can make my heart start pumping and give me a good fight, or Zeus will be losing his son, Naruto taunted, a bloodthirsty smirk on his face. Ares growled, trying to force Naruto to move, but he didn't budge. To everyone's shock, Naruto literally grew 2 extra arms and hands. Shoten, crystal encampment wall, he declared. Eyes widened as a massive wall of crystal formed in front of Annabeth, Grover, and Percy. Ares hit the crystal but was dumbfounded when the damage simply repaired itself. Frustrated, Ares roared at the wall, shattering it. Naruto jumped back and used a technique he created. Water, lightning, fire style, XYZ dragon jutsu. He unleashed a gigantic dragon that tore up the ground and made the air tremble as it barreled towards Ares. Ares rolled to the left, watching as the dragon soared over the ocean and exploded into a bright light. Snarling, Ares charged towards Naruto with his sword again. Naruto laughed as he swung with his gunbai, knocking the sword from Ares' hands. He jumped into the air and caught the sword with one of his extra hands, turning another arm into a cannon. Take this, old yeller. Fire style, flight of the blazing dragon jutsu. He shouted, unleashing a torrent of flames that turned the sand to glass. Ares, wide-eyed, tried to dodge but was hit in the chest, causing him to cry out in pain. Naruto dashed forward, slamming his gunbai into Ares' side. As Ares bent over from the force, Naruto kicked him in the face, then slashed him across the face with Ares' own sword. Ares screamed in pain as his ichor spilled into his eyes. Naruto laughed as he landed in the ocean and summoned his Susanoo in its humanoid form. Yasaka Magatama, he declared, standing tall as Tentomo appeared and launched at Ares, who screamed in agony as his body was burned from the inside out. Looking bored, Naruto coated Ares' sword in demonic chakra and tossed it at him. The blade lodged into Ares, making him scream as the chakra burned into his body. Ares ripped the sword out, growling and transforming it into a spear. Take this, you little jackass, he shouted, charging at Naruto. Spotting the electricity crackling from the spear, Naruto smirked and blurred through hand signs, filling the beach with the sound of crackling electricity. Now holding a Chidori, he declared, "Allow me to show you what lightning looks like." Surging chakra through his body, he made the Chidori gain intensity. Nearing Ares, he spun and snapped the spear in half, shocking Ares. Naruto then kicked Ares toward the water. Once Ares hit the water, Naruto tossed the Chidori into the air, watching as it grew with the charges in the atmosphere and formed mighty clouds above him. Laughing, he turned to Annabeth. "Don't cry," he said, seeing her confusion. The cry of thunder echoed, and actual rain began to fall on the part of the beach not behind a barrier. Lifting his right hand, he summoned red lightning. "Let's see how this feels, dog," he said before snapping his hand. Ares, emerging from the ocean, smirked, thinking it was over, when suddenly he felt a searing pain in his right hand. Looking down, he gasped in shock. His hand was gone, replaced by a bleeding stump. As Ares stood in disbelief, Naruto's taunting laughter echoed around them. Annabeth and the others exchanged wide-eyed glances, wondering where Naruto was. Suddenly, the air began to spark, and those sparks slowly formed into a face, Naruto's face, laughing in the air. "Naruto, I told you not to cry, and you didn't. Good job. I've become one with the storm of my creation and made it my playground." Ares blanched at this, along with the other gods, who were terrified as it reminded them of Aurena's a little too much. Naruto, now then back to the fall of a god. The sparks then dispersed, and Ares cried out in pain as a huge slash appeared across his back. He cried out again when another slash appeared on his left leg. Ares picked up the sand and covered himself with it. "Ares, I just found a way around your attacks." He smirked. "Naruto, man, you're foolish. That sand is soaked with water, and even if it wasn't, it's raining, meaning that the sand would quickly become soaked or wash off." Ares' eyes widened as he realized this. He had no time to react as he was launched clear out into the ocean, and once he hit the water, he lit up in agony. Percy, what the heck? He was confused about what was happening. Annabeth, even the ocean has an electric charge right now, and since it is water, Ares is in a world of pain unlike anything anyone has ever experienced. She realized the genius of Naruto's powers. Naruto, correct, my favorite bookworm. He smiled at the now blushing girl. The gods were shocked watching this battle. Hera was astonished, spotting the man she was quickly becoming smitten with easily defeating her son. Aphrodite was trying to stop the distracting thoughts flooding her mind as she watched Naruto handle Ares with the ease of a beginner. Athena was nodding to her decision to pursue Naruto, as he was proving himself capable in battle, and his intelligence was beyond any mortal she had ever seen. Apollo was amazed at how Naruto's movements resembled a deadly dance. Hermes, not envying Ares at all, was already picturing Naruto's ascension to godhood and couldn't suppress the smirk that appeared on his face. Poseidon was relieved that his son didn't have to fight anymore but was worried about Percy's feelings for Athena's daughter. Zeus was seething in anger, believing that what Naruto was doing shouldn't be possible. Dionysus, broadcasting the battle to the camp, was starting to like Naruto more and more. Artemis, sharing the battle with her hunters, couldn't believe the power Naruto wielded or that he was actually facing a god in combat. Hestia, tending to the fire, was making plans regarding her feelings for Naruto, as he was undeniably charming. Hephaestus, watching Naruto defeat Ares, smiled, already liking this kid and thinking of meeting him. The other gods were simply shocked by what they were witnessing. Ares then climbed out of the ocean, now missing an entire arm and furious that a brat had humiliated him so thoroughly. Ares, you little brat. It's time I stopped playing games with you. He glared at Naruto. He then roared and became shrouded in a bright light. Annabeth, cover your eyes. He's going into full god mode. Percy and Grover quickly shielded their eyes and turned away. When the light finally died down, Ares stood there in a different form, completely healed from his injuries. Ares, now I'll kill you, brat, and Aphrodite will once again be mine, he said to the bored blonde. Naruto, oh, shut up already. If you want her, go and take her, she means nothing to me in the end. He surprised everyone watching. Ares snarled and charged towards Naruto, punching him clean in the jaw, but Naruto remained standing. Naruto then used Shinra Tensei on Ares, sending him flying back. Naruto, you want to stop playing games? Then so be it. He decided to use a piece of his true power. Naruto's eyes began to turn dark red, and his back started to bleed. A crown of thorns appeared floating over his head, and he grew 10 tails. Everyone was confused as this was a new symbol that had never appeared before. He then radiated a black aura that felt both holy and unholy. Naruto, you know Ares, you messed with the wrong person, he said before flying into the air as the world shook with his power. Naruto's body transformed further as 10 tails emerged, 2 massive horns grew on his head, and the Rinna Sharingan opened in his forehead. 2 massive white and black archangel wings sprouted from his back, alarming Ares and the other gods. He then summoned his Lance of Longinus, which radiated the aura of a true god. Naruto, behold the face of the god of destruction and your death, Ares. He addressed the frightened god. Ares, you can't kill me, brat, no matter what you do to yourself, he said cockily, to the annoyance of the others. Naruto remained silent and vanished, leaving Ares hunched over from the sheer power of Naruto's shockwave punch to his stomach. He was then launched into the air by a simple flick from Naruto. One of Naruto's tails grabbed Ares by his ankles and slammed him into the ocean. Naruto then pointed his hand at the water and waved it lightly. The air and water froze, transforming into a giant structure that resembled a long-lost temple. Inside, Ares shivered from the cold, his eyes widening as Naruto appeared within the ice, maintaining an impassive expression. Ares growled and punched the ice, only to be shocked when he didn't even dent the structure. Naruto's voice echoed around the temple. This ice is beyond the power of mortals and, frankly, beyond the power of gods. It was created with the power of a primordial goddess, and only a primordial can break free of this temple. Hearing this, Ares lost all color in his face. Naruto, noticing the unpleasant odor, decided to punish Ares for tainting the temple. Don't worry, in a second you'll know only suffering and pain. A fitting punishment for all the wars and suffering you've caused. He looked down at Ares with cold eyes that unsettled the god. Suddenly, 6 clones of Naruto emerged from the walls, each holding a weapon. Your first lesson begins now. With a snap of his fingers, the clones blurred toward Ares, who barely managed to block 3 of them. The other 3 landed their attacks, leaving deep slashes on his arm. Ares screamed in pain and stabbed one of the clones, only to watch it melt into ice. He spun around, slashing at the remaining clones and managing to destroy them. Naruto stomped his foot, and Ares was soon pelted with countless ice needles that numbed his body. Ares' eyes widened as 12 new clones emerged from the ice dome, each with 4 arms and a weapon in each hand. Your second lesson begins now. Naruto snapped his fingers again. Ares cursed, trying to shake off the numbness, but it was too late. 6 clones pounced on him, punishing the god of war and causing more of his blood to spill onto the ice. Outside the dome, Annabeth felt a mix of amazement, attraction, and fear. She was impressed by Naruto's mastery of ice, drawn in by his presence, yet terrified of his power. Percy was overwhelmed by the intensity of Naruto's strength, while Grover remained calm, sensing that Naruto would never direct his power at him. The Aphrodite cabin cheered for Naruto as he fought Ares, while Ares' cabin worried for their father. Clarice, however, was oddly intrigued by the spectacle. Apollo's cabin debated the outcome of the fight, while the Athena cabin questioned the wisdom of Annabeth's relationship with Naruto. Meanwhile, Hera struggled to keep her sword by her side, sensing its connection to Naruto's power. Zeus, initially angry, grew concerned for Ares' life, realizing Naruto's power surpassed that of a Titan. Athena reconsidered her plans, now envisioning a future with Naruto and wanting to have children with him. Aphrodite resolved to win Naruto's forgiveness, hoping to rekindle their connection. Apollo and Hermes began planning a grand celebration for Naruto's potential ascension to godhood, with Hermes already preparing for a lively party. Dionysus laughed heartily at Ares' predicament, eagerly anticipating the festivities to come. Hephaestus was excited to meet Naruto, as the boy was resolving a significant issue that had long been a source of frustration. Poseidon pondered what to wear for Naruto's ascension to godhood, aware that Ares was in serious trouble. Artemis, holding Naruto's headband close to her chest, felt her heart racing. She was undeniably in love with him and imagined a future together. She also wondered when he would come for his necklace, a vital part of his identity as a ninja. In the underworld, Hades was both impressed and apprehensive about Naruto's power. He realized that he might soon lose Persephone, who would finally be free of the curse he had placed on her. He contemplated removing that curse before she met Naruto, fearing the consequences if the young gods sought him out. Meanwhile, Persephone found herself drawn to Naruto. Ares, having survived a grueling battle against multiple clones of Naruto, finally escaped the ice temple and landed on the cold beach, searching for the real Naruto. The young god was perched atop his ice temple, watching Ares with a bored expression. When Naruto jumped down and landed in front of Ares, the god of war snarled, "Are you ready to die, brat?" Naruto simply looked at Ares and opened his jobi. Chains began to wrap around Ares, binding him to the beach. Why use chains to tie me up when I could break out so easily? Ares yelled arrogantly, only to fail in his attempt to escape. Silence! Naruto commanded. These aren't ordinary chains. They are the chains of heaven, capable of draining energy from anyone, including gods. The more divine they are, the tighter they get. The other gods felt a chill at this revelation, except for Hephaestus, who admired the craftsmanship, and Athena, who was increasingly impressed by Naruto's abilities. Naruto then pointed his spear at Ares, who was now terrified. "No, I will not die to a simple spear." Ares protested, but Naruto assured him, "This is no ordinary spear. This is the spear of destiny, capable of killing gods permanently." With that, Naruto declared, "No pain," before throwing the spear at Ares' chest, causing him to bleed ichor and lose the light in his eyes. After ensuring Ares was truly gone, Naruto contained his soul in a jar for later use. The demigods watched in shock, realizing the gravity of what had just occurred. Luke felt fear, knowing Naruto could easily defeat him and Kronos. Annabeth looked at Naruto and found herself swooning, a reaction she would deny later. Naruto then dropped his power mode and approached Percy, inspecting the MSTR bolt. "Maybe I should just take this and make the big baby come try to get it back," he teased, before ultimately tossing it back to Percy, breaking off a piece. Turning to Annabeth, he smirked as she continued to admire him. He pulled her into a kiss that left her feeling euphoric. After several moments, a blushing Grover coughed, prompting Naruto to end the kiss with a smirk while Annabeth blushed deeply. "Percy, make sure you don't lose that thing." "Annabeth, I'll see you later." "Grover, you did a good job." "I have places to be," he said before vanishing in a burst of black doves, leaving everyone in shock. "He's so dreamy," Annabeth sighed, her eyes filled with admiration. "We need to get moving," Grover said, rolling his eyes. "Yeah, we should return the MSR bolt," Percy added, jealousy creeping into his voice. After teleporting away, Naruto was seen walking toward the Empire State Building in New York City. He walked into the building and down the lobby, arriving at the front desk where a picture of the building hung behind it. The security guard at the desk barely glanced up. "Security guard, what do you need, sir?" "Naruto, give me the card for the 600th floor." The guard looked up, confused. "There's only 102 floors, sir." Not wanting to deal with this, Naruto summoned a burst of energy, causing the mural behind the guard to crack and explode at the top. The guard fell to the floor in fear, realizing the power Naruto held. "Naruto, give me the card now." With a bored expression, he held out his hand. The guard shakily pulled the card from his pocket and handed it over before fainting. Naruto, weak. He walked to the elevator and inserted the card into the security slot. The elevator shot up quickly, and Naruto, arms crossed, felt no discomfort. When it stopped, he stepped out and marveled at Mount Olympus in all its glory. As he walked towards the throne room, female nymphs and demigoddesses blushed at his presence, while the men were terrified, remembering he had just defeated an Olympian god. Ignoring their reactions, Naruto continued on, arriving at the throne room where the Olympians were in an uproar over Ares' death. The first to notice him was Hestia, who looked surprised. Zeus, hearing Hestia's gasp, looked down and saw the boy who had killed his son. He raised his hand to gather the god's attention. "Zeus, you?" "Naruto, yes, it's me. How dumb are you?" Laughter erupted among Apollo, Hermes, Hephaestus, Dionysus, and Poseidon, while Hera smirked at the comment about her husband's intelligence. Athena, Artemis, Demeter, Hestia, and Aphrodite joined in the snickering. "Zeus, don't insult me, you impetuous brat. I should smite you for killing Ares." "Naruto, but you can't. Maybe it's because Chaos would be upset that her champion was killed by you, or that my death would spark an uprising to get rid of you for good." Zeus fell silent, his face pale. "Naruto, or maybe you just fear me. Anyway, I'm here to give your wife something." Hera looked confused. "Hera, what would you like to give me?" "Naruto, this." He opened a portal and dropped a jar into her hand. "Hera, why give me an ancient Greek jar? It's flattering but nothing special." "Naruto, just look inside. Don't open it all the way." Hera, knowing he was fond of her, complied. As she opened it, a wave of happiness washed over her. She closed it and looked at Naruto with a tear of joy. "Hera, I thank you for this wonderful gift. For that, you have my blessing." With a wave of her hand, a peacock appeared on his head before vanishing. She then teleported to her palace, having moved out of Zeus's palace years ago. Naruto smiled and turned to Zeus with an impassive look. "Naruto, well, look at that. It seems I can make your wife happy unlike you." "Zeus, shut up, you golden turd. My wife loves me more than you know. She adores me and is totally fine with all my decisions." "Naruto, man, you're a horrible liar. Didn't your wife move out and stop talking to you?" Zeus was shocked, having kept that information from mortals and minor gods. Zeus, how do you know that? Naruto, you don't need to know. Frustrated, Zeus jumped down from his throne. Zeus, I challenge you to a fistfight. Naruto looked at him, perplexed. Naruto, are you stupid or something? Zeus, no I'm not. Now accept, mongrel. Naruto, no one calls me mongrel and gets away with it. In an instant he moved behind Zeus and struck him on the neck, knocking him out. Naruto, anyway, I'm here to tell you all one thing. The gods were now intrigued. Naruto, as you know, I could kill you all if I wanted to. The gods looked a little scared, remembering he had just defeated one of their own. Naruto, so I just want you all to know, don't try and take my stuff or make me do any of your tasks. After all, not even the fates can control or see my future at all. I'm free to make my own choices without interference, he said while roasting a marshmallow over the hearth. The gods were shocked, as the fates had been above even them. Naruto was making us more for himself when he heard a stomach rumble next to him and saw that Hestia was looking at the S-more with drool coming from her mouth. Here, you need it more than me, he said, handing it to her. Thank you, she replied, snatching and eating it quickly, surprising him. Naruto then got up and started to walk toward Athena's throne. Athena, mother to my favorite bookworm. I know you have a question for me. Ask away, he said to the blushing goddess. My question is one thing. Who's your father? We watched your conversation with Aphrodite, and we are all curious, she said, making his mother sulk on her throne and piquing the interest of the other gods. I'll tell you all when Hades and Hestia get a throne in the council. If you really want to know, read the Bible, he replied, leaving them disappointed. Naruto then put his hands in his pockets and started to walk out of the throne room. Before leaving, he felt a hand on his shoulder. He looked and saw it was Aphrodite's. He felt uncomfortable and tried to remove her hand. What do you want, incubator of mine? Your eye, he said, annoyed. No, I want to spend time with you, she exclaimed. But so you could manipulate me. I can see that the middle of your dress is wet, he said, trying to embarrass her. No, I just want to spend time with you. Can't a mother spend time with her child? She said, making him freeze in his path. Naruto turned his head, his eyes shadowed by his hair. Please, Sochi, can you find it in your heart to forgive your mother? She asked, looking at him with love in her eyes. Naruto pushed her away, anger on his face. No, I will not forgive you. What you did was inexcusable. You left me behind to face terrible things. My need for a mother has long since passed. Perhaps I could forgive you as a person, but as a mother, I could never forgive that, he said, making her tear up as she realized he hated her as a mother. The Olympians were at a loss for words, realizing that the savior of the world's childhood was far more depressing than they thought. Hestia felt saddened, as she could sense the broken relationship between mother and son. Though perhaps I could applaud you for trying. Maybe we could hang out as two people rather than a mother and son, he said, surprising her. I'd like that, Naruto, she replied with a small smile. Well, don't get used to it, he said, looking away with a hint of red on his face. Aphrodite wiped her tears and walked back to her throne. Just as Naruto was about to leave, he had one more thing to say. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Kronos is rising from Tartarus, he said before using his powers to leave. Time skip. 2 hours Naruto was flying to Camp Half BLD after taking care of business. When he landed, he saw everyone celebrating the return of the emissary bolt to Zeus. He was met with a tackle from his favorite bookworm. Hey bookworm, how you doing? He asked. Fine, better now that you're here, Annabeth said, taking him to the party. When they arrived, everyone stopped and stared at Naruto. The Aphrodite cabin immediately swarmed them, lifting him up and cheering. Why are you holding me up here? He asked, confused. It's called a celebration. Try to relax, brother. Everyone needs to chill out, even you. Silena said, smiling at him. Yeah, Naruto. Come on and have some fun with us. Annabeth encouraged. Fine. Perhaps I could spare one day for fun, he sighed, scratching the back of his head. The campers started to party even more, with fireworks lighting up the sky. A little while later, Naruto and Annabeth headed to the cabin he had built for himself. "So you really want to know my entire story from start to finish?" he asked with a neutral expression. "Yup, you promised me, and a promise on God himself," she said with a smirk. "Fine, but why are you bringing a tape recorder? You going to record this conversation?" "I'm bringing it so you won't have to repeat it when someone asks you," she replied. "Don't worry, I won't give every person who asks the recording, only those you approve of," she said, surprising him. "That's cool, but who said I was going to say this out loud?" he replied, leaving her confused. "What do you mean?" Annabeth asked. "Simple. Tsukuyami," he declared, activating his EMS. They were then transported to a destroyed village, standing at a distance. What is this place?" Annabeth exclaimed. "My birthplace. My original home. Kana Hagakure, or the Hidden Leaf Village," he said, gazing at the Hokage rock. Annabeth was shocked. She had been taught that Konoha was at peace after Naruto disappeared in the Fourth Great Ninja War. "This is where you were born. I was taught it was peaceful after you disappeared. Are you really going to believe a book over the person who actually lived there? Anyway, it's time I tell you everything," he said, summoning Medusa in his mind. She entered his mind, ready to listen. "I shall tell you something that no one except Tsunade knows," he began. "And what is that?" Medusa asked, her curiosity piqued. "My father," Naruto revealed. "Your father? I thought he was just a mortal named Minato Namikaze," Annabeth said, confused. "No, my father was far more powerful than even the Primordials," he replied, shocking them. "Who was he?" Medusa asked, her curiosity intensifying. "My father was," he started, leaving them in suspense. "You're joking, right? You have to be." Medusa exclaimed. "Nope. He's my father, and I'm not human in any biological way, though my soul is more human than even I know," he said, looking at the ruined village. "Wait a second. If you're the son of, and Aphrodite, does that mean you're the Antichrist, the one prophesied to destroy the world?" Annabeth asked, addressing the elephant in the room. "Yes, I am, but I also have more to tell you," he said, surprising them further. "What else are you going to tell us? How you have the Spear of Longinus, something that's supposed to hurt your very nature, or the Holy Grail, the cup that Jesus himself blessed, or the fact that you grew wings on your back?" Annabeth pressed. "Or the fact that your village is completely destroyed," Medusa added, looking at the devastation. "One at a time. I have the holy items because God herself gave them to me on the day of my birth. She hid the cup and crown in locations inaccessible to anyone not worthy enough to retrieve them. I've had the spear since I was born. The village is destroyed because this is what I want it to be like," he explained, recalling what she had told him. "Why would she give it to you, though? The son of her enemy?" Annabeth asked, puzzled. "I don't know. Her plans are mysterious even to me," he replied. They continued to talk for another 30 minutes before he broke the genjutsu. The next day, Naruto walked out of camp half BLD when he felt something calling him. He sighed and followed the signal, discovering it was a pine tree. Confused, he sensed a life force within it. Using Sage Mode, he touched the tree. Closing his eyes, he saw a girl with black spiky hair, electric blue eyes, and freckles lying on the ground with her eyes closed. He took out a ball and threw it at her head, waking her up. She looked up at him, blushing and acting a bit flustered. "Who the hell are you, and why did you just throw a ball at my face?" she asked, rubbing her head. "My name is Naruto Uchiha," he replied, surprising her as she recognized his legend from school. The Naruto Uchiha. The guy who saved the entire world, killed the Shinto god of creation, started a religion, and so much more. "You're a legend," she exclaimed, stars in her eyes. "I didn't know you were a fan." "So what's your name?" he asked, already knowing the answer. "Oh, my name is Thalia, daughter of Zeus," she introduced herself. Naruto and Thalia began talking, and he noticed they were in a realm that looked abstract and otherworldly. "So where are we?" he asked, observing the emptiness around them. "We're in limbo, the realm between life and death," she explained, her hands in her pockets. "Can you change the landscape by any chance?" he asked, poking a ball in the air. Thalia raised an eyebrow. No, not that I know. What? I think you can change the limbo you're in. All you need to do is think hard about what you want, and it will happen. It's similar to how certain people in my world can access their own mindscape and change it, he explained, recalling his fellow Jinchuriki's mindscapes. Taking his advice, Thalia concentrated on something familiar. After a few moments, the landscape transformed into a black room with a few lamps, red furniture, and jazz music playing in the background. Thalia, thanks, Naruto. I can finally change things around here. She smiled at him. Naruto, no problem anytime. Now tell me, why are you in a tree? He plopped down on a chair behind him. She told him about her journey with Annabeth and Luke, how they were found by a satyr named Grover Underwood, who tried to get them to Camp Half BLD. Together, they traveled to Camp Half BLD, chased by monsters from the underworld. Once they reached camp, a horde of monsters attacked, and she sacrificed herself on Half BLD Hill to protect Annabeth, Luke, and Grover. To prevent her soul from going to Hades, Zeus turned her into a pine tree. Naruto, that was a very brave thing to do. Protecting your friends can give you strength, like those parents who lift cars when their child is trapped underneath. He recalled reading about that. Thalia, well, thanks. At least those parents actually cared about their kids. She remembered her mother. Naruto, you have mommy issues too. He somehow figured out what she was thinking. Thalia, how do you know what I'm thinking? Are you psychic? She confronted him about his powers. Naruto, nope, it's just that I'm the protagonist, so I can pull as many abilities as I want. The man upstairs gives me abilities that allow me to navigate this world and its pantheons. He said, confusing her with the mention of the man upstairs. Thalia, who are you talking about? Naruto, let's just move on. Thalia, alright then, Blondie. Anyway, how are Annabeth, Grover, and Luke? Naruto, well, Annabeth is spending time with her family, and Grover is on his quest to find the goat-headed kid of Hermes. As for Luke, he paused, making her confused. Thalia, why'd you stop? What's wrong with Luke? Is he dead? She sounded sad at the thought of her friend's potential death. Naruto, he's alive, but he's a traitor to your little summer camp. He said, making her shocked and in denial. Thalia, that's not true. That's impossible, she exclaimed, sounding like a certain character. Naruto, it's true. He tried to hold back a laugh. Thalia, do you have any proof of this betrayal, or are you just messing with me? She asked, making him nod. Naruto held his hand out for her to touch, and though confused, she did it. She touched his hand, and suddenly, she was hit with memories of Luke attacking Percy and revealing himself as the lightning thief. She came back to reality with the proof shown to her. Thalia, he's a traitor. He stole my father's bolt and tried to start a war between the gods. But what? Naruto, he betrayed the gods over some petty revenge against his father. He said with disappointment. Thalia then started to smash the imaginary ground she had created out of anger, cracking it as a result. Thalia, I became a tree to save their lives, and this is the thanks I get. She punched the ground again, static electricity appearing in her hands. The ground cracked again, breaking the room she had built for herself and taking them back to limbo. Thalia was on the ground with bloody hands, somehow punching an illusion. The ground was cracked, her BLD staining the floor. Naruto, fate often has a funny way of messing with innocent people and making their lives a living hell, he said, hands in his pockets. He walked behind the teary-eyed girl and placed a hand on her back, surprising her with the touch. Thalia, why do you care? This doesn't affect you in any way, yet you care. Naruto, I care because I understand your pain, your anguish, your misfortunes. How it feels to lose something you love. A neglectful childhood. I know all the pain you've gone through because I've gone through it. He bent down to her level. Thalia turned her head towards him, tears in her eyes, looking at him with shock and anger. Thalia, if you know what I'm feeling, then how did you deal with it? She asked, curious. Naruto was about to answer her question when he noticed he was fading away from purgatory. Naruto, well, it seems like my time here is running out, he said, making Thalia worried. Thalia, what? You were going to give me the answer to my question. I had a whole lot more questions to ask you. Naruto, well, tough luck. I guess I'll answer next time, he said, hands behind his head. Thalia, there's a next time, she said, a blush appearing on her face. Naruto, what kind of man would I be if I just left you here? I mean, I can always get you out, he said, surprising her. Thalia, why you can. Naruto was about to respond when Thalia blinked, and he disappeared right in front of her. Thalia. We then cut back to Naruto, who had finally returned to his body and was looking around, annoyed at being kicked out of limbo. Naruto. Annoying but predictable. Anyway, let's get Thalia out of the tree, he said with vigor. He threw a kunai on the floor, activating an illusion that made it look like nobody was there. Naruto started gathering what he needed. First, he reached into his curse seal and pulled out the piece of the MSTR bolt he had stolen. Then he summoned a dead Zetsu from Kagaya's old army. Finally, he activated his Rinnegan and placed his hand on the tree, closing his eyes to reach back to her. Naruto, Thalia. Thalia. It's me. Thalia, right here, idiot. Naruto floated down towards her, landing on the ground. He saw her face, which looked annoyed, similar to how he felt just moments ago. Thalia, good you're back. I thought you weren't coming back. So tell me how I'm going to get out of here. Naruto, grab my hand. Thalia, are you going to show me another memory? Naruto, just grab it. After all, I can always leave you here. Thalia, alright, tap it. Naruto, very. Now hold on tight. Thalia, what you talking about? Naruto, 5 4 3 2 1 Thalia, W. They blasted into purgatory, and Naruto smirked as he remembered her telling him she was scared of heights. Thalia held on tightly, burying her head in his chest. Thalia thoughts, he smells very nice, like a fresh hamburger off the grill. They flew through the strange realm, observing the bizarre creatures and landscapes. Naruto sensed something following them. Curious, he looked back and saw a hideous creature that made even Zeus look good by comparison. Naruto, what the heck? Thalia, what is that? Naruto, why would I know? You've been here longer than I have. Thalia, well, deal with it. It's going to kill us. Naruto, don't worry, I will. With a frown, he opened a gate and shot out weapons designed to defeat eldritch beings. The beast screamed in pain as it was pierced by the weapons from unknown worlds. The monster fell into the abyss of limbo, never to be seen again. They resumed their flight, this time going even faster. Thalia, slow down, idiot. I don't want to die. Naruto didn't respond. Instead, he knocked her soul out for a moment of peace and quiet, then accelerated, making it seem like he wasn't there. Naruto, all right, open sesame. He created a portal and flew through it, landing back at the tree. He closed the portal, ensuring nothing followed them. Naruto then woke up and opened his eyes, looking at Thalia's soul in his hand. He placed her soul inside a Zetsu body, which began to change its appearance to resemble Thalia, though she was still without clothes. Naruto looked down and smirked. He took a jar of lightning and placed it on her chest, pushing it inside where her heart would be, though Zetsu lacked human functions. Naruto, alright, Thalia, after this, you'll be in a brand new body. With that, he used the revered technique of the Sage of the Six Paths Naruto, Banbutsu Sozo no Jutsu. A light enveloped the body, and Thalia sat up, breathing heavily. She looked around and saw Naruto standing there with a neutral expression, his hands in his pockets and a backpack on his back. Thalia, why you did it? I'm finally free. I'm free. She yelled and began running around the area, oblivious to her state. Naruto watched with a smirk, jotting down notes in a familiar orange book. Thalia finished running and was about to jump on Naruto when he stopped her with his tail. Naruto, Thalia, why? You freed me and deserve a reward for helping me. Naruto, first of all, I dislike hugs, and second, you're not dressed. Thalia, pervert. She yelled before punching him in the face, causing him to fall back. He got up and dusted off his clothes. Naruto, yeah, I deserve that. Thalia, DMN right you do. Naruto, fine, here are some clothes I have. Thalia, thanks. So, where are you going? Naruto, none of your concern. Have fun with your new life. He started to walk away. Thalia, hey, wait up. Naruto, what do you want now? Thalia, I want you to train me. Naruto, I don't take students anymore. Thalia, come on, Naruto. I've been in a tree for years and never trained by anyone. Plus, I owe you a life debt for saving me. Naruto thought about it and realized she was right. Naruto, I guess you do. Alright, fine, I'll do it, but you mustn't do two things while I train you. Thalia, and those are. Naruto, number 1, don't complain about the training I give you, and number 2, don't disobey my words. I'm the sir here, and you're the pupil. Got that? Thalia nodded with a smile on her face. Thalia, sir, yes sir. Naruto smirked and opened a portal to his next location. He walked through with Thalia at his back. Just before stepping through, she glanced back at her tree on Half BLD Hill. With a playful smirk, Thalia waved goodbye to the tree and stepped into the portal alongside Naruto, who was contemplating his choices.